Hey everybody, so here to talk about Venezuela, which is having a serious humanitarian crisis, and the country is just spiraling downhill out of control. Now, the sad part is they do have the world's largest oil reserves. Their Orinoco oil belt has the largest in the world. It's even above Saudi Arabia, but it's been completely mismanaged dating back to Hugo Chavez. The problem is oil output is collapsing. First, 4 years ago, the oil prices started plummeting, but at the same time that's coincided with their oil production plummeting. So it's taken a huge hit on Venezuela's earnings. Just last month in December, oil output dropped 12%. It dropped 216,000 barrels a day to 1.6 million barrels a day. And when you factor in all of 2017, Venezuela's oil production has dropped 29%. Now, this is a larger drop than the 23% drop Iraq suffered after the war, and it's a larger drop than Russia suffered after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So that gives you an idea how serious of a problem this is. Venezuela's their foreign currency earnings are made up. 95% of their foreign currency earnings are due to oil exports. So this is their life's blood. When you add up the last 4 years, the economy has contracted 40%, which is that's like depression. And their inflation last year was 2,600%. Also, with the drop in foreign currency earnings, the government is less able to buy the essentials from foreign countries, such as machinery, medicine, and food, which they're in desperate need of. Now, of course, a lot of factories closed down for Christmas, but after Christmas, only 3 out of 4 of those factories reopened. So 25% of factories didn't even reopen, and some of those that did reopen are going to end up shutting down. Malnutrition is spreading, and the incidence of disease is spiraling out of control. It's going up, especially diseases like malaria and diphtheria. The government has now resorted to bartering because, they can't borrow anymore. They're going to probably default on debts, and they're bartering now. They've offered to sell diamonds and any other goods they can come up with for life's essentials. Analysts predict that by the end of 2018, their barrels per day production will be down to about 1.3 million barrels a day, which is dangerous because they need that exact amount just for their domestic needs and for their debt deals with Russia, China, and Cuba. So they can't possibly go below this. And then if it does drop to that, they don't have any left to export. So that's going to further exacerbate problems because they won't be earning money. Last month's drop was the 15th consecutive drop in production, and there's just no end in sight. Also, President Maduro has jailed 70 managers with the state oil company, charging them with graft. Some of them may be guilty, but I'm sure not all of them are. And then Maduro has replaced them all with generals, and these generals know nothing about operating an oil company. Some other things, the Lake Maracaibo region in the west, production has dropped in half in the last 2 years, from 700,000 a day to 350,000 barrels a day. In the north, the Paraguana refining complex is it's the third largest crude oil refiner in the world, and it's only operating at 15% because of mismanagement. And the plant operator named Pablo Cespedes said that the government failed to reinvest any money into the plant, so they just sucked it dry, just sucked out every dollar they could, and now it's just disintegrating. There's zero maintenance, and it's just going to continue to disintegrate until it's not operational. And then with all these problems, crime has exploded in Venezuela. One of the biggest crimes is the theft of copper wire, and so now you have oil platforms and whole towns with no oil or with no energy because the copper wire has been stolen. So now they're living without power. Lots of big multinationals like the oil service provider Schlumberger, they're cutting back on their investment in Venezuela because of unpaid bills to them, and they're going to continue to cut back, and this is going to further exacerbate the problem. So as you can see, there's a huge downward spiral in Venezuela, and the ones that will suffer the most are the innocent people. So hopefully something happens, but it's looking like there's just no end in sight. So that's that.